In just 11 years, a young king from Macedonia forged one of the greatest empires in history. His name was Alexander the Great, a warrior, a visionary, and a legend whose legacy still shapes the world today. Born in 356 BCE in the city of Pella, Alexander was the son of King Philip II and Queen Olympias. From an early age, he was trained in philosophy, science, and strategy by none other than Aristotle. The young prince learned of Homer's heroism, the art of governance, and the power of the human mind, knowledge that would prepare him for greatness. When Philip II was assassinated, Alexander was only 20 years old, but with boldness and determination, he seized the throne. Many doubted him. Yet he quickly proved that he possessed not only the will to rule, but also the genius to command. Alexander inherited one of the finest armies of the ancient world, disciplined, fearless, and loyal. With them, he marched east, beginning a campaign that would stretch farther than any Greek had ever dreamed. His horse, Bucephalus, became a symbol of his unstoppable drive. At the river Granicus, Alexander faced the Persian satraps for the first time. Outnumbered, he led his men directly into the fight, charging across the river under a storm of arrows. Victory was swift, and the legend of Alexander as an undefeated commander was born. Next came the Battle of Issus, where Alexander confronted King Darius III himself. Against overwhelming numbers, Alexander struck with precision. Next came the Battle of Issus, where Alexander confronted King Darius III himself. Against overwhelming numbers, Alexander struck with precision. Breaking through the Persian lines, Darius fled the battlefield, leaving his family and treasures behind. The world now saw Persia's mighty king in retreat, and Alexander as the rising master of the East. The climax came at Gaugamela in 331 BCE. On the vast plains, Darius gathered a colossal army, chariots, cavalry, and soldiers from across his empire. Yet Alexander outmaneuvered them all. Leading his companion cavalry, he drove straight at Darius, shattering the Persian defense. Once again, the great king fled, and Alexander claimed victory. The Persian Empire had fallen. In Persepolis, the jewel of Persia, Alexander stood in the throne room of kings. He had conquered an empire older and larger than his own homeland. To his men, he was no longer just their Macedonian king. He was a ruler of the world. Yet Alexander hungered for more. He pressed onward, across deserts, through mountains, and into India. His soldiers endured scorching heat and bitter cold, while their king led them against war elephants and fierce warriors. Though weary, his men followed him still, driven by his vision of endless conquest. But even the greatest conqueror cannot defeat time. In Babylon, Alexander fell ill. Some whispered of poison, others of fever. At only 32 years old, he was gone. His empire stretched from Greece to India, but without his leadership, it began to fracture. Alexander the Great lived a short life, but his impact was eternal. He spread Greek culture across 3 continents, founded cities that still stand today, and inspired generations of leaders, thinkers, and dreamers. He was a warrior and a scholar, a conqueror and a visionary. In 11 years, he changed the world forever.